Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to show you how to service a Penn reel. This is the Penn International 975 round bait caster. It's a beautiful reel, and it has a problem which, well, seems to be a problem with this reel. The button is depressed in, it doesn't trip, it makes a lot of noise. Every now and then you can finesse it to get it to trip. Sometimes it's hard to trip it back. And we got that, and what did I do there? I pushed it in, I guess. Well, typically that's an issue with the trip mechanism. So I've gone ahead and ordered that. There are two pieces that cause that free spool release to trip back into active. And those pieces are a little crown kind of a look at the one, and an arm on the other that has a stud. And over time, those two pieces wear, and well, what you just heard here happens. We're going to take the exterior parts off to get to the internals of this reel and show you how it's made and how to service this reel. And while I do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. My channel covers all kinds of fishing reels and fishing related topics. Most of the time they center on the servicing of your reel to keep them fishing. Every now and then it's how to repair a reel that's broken, to give it a second chance. And most of the time it's informative in that you'll learn the processes and the procedures for working on reels. All kinds of reels, spinning reels, freshwater, saltwater, everything kind of in between. So if you like that, I want to encourage you to subscribe, and I want to wish you the best in servicing your reels and keeping them from failing you when you're on with the fish of a lifetime. There's two screws that are holding the side plate on. When you pull them out, they do have little retainers inside of it, but I think we're also seeing the other issue with this reel. It's very dirty. You can see all the debris and the like inside there, usually an indication that the reel's been fished heavy. And well, we're going to show you a little bit about how to clean that up, in addition to how to replace those parts that are worn. I'm going to start the cleanup by using a spray of penetrating oil. That helps to dissolve the dirt and debris. In this case, I'm using WD-40. I really don't have a preference for fishing reel penetrating oil, if you will. And I use all kinds, whatever seems to be handy when I'm out shopping and I'm kind of down on my supply. So if you see me using a store brand, like a Ace Hardware brand or Home Depot or something and the like, don't worry about it. I use it not for its lubrication properties, but more for its debris management properties, if you will. There are three screws that are holding the back side plate on. Normally, if you're not having an issue with the side plate, you can generally let that go. But because of all the dirt that I just saw in the opening of this, I want to make sure we get the dirt on the other side and clear it up as well. You're going to need a micro screwdriver for that. There's three small case screws here, kind of in a triangular pattern. Two of those screws can be longer than the third. You need to mark the location for those, or at least know where they go. The one that goes over the idler gear that drives the level wind can be the oddball one. I don't know if you can see that, but I've just loosened these two, and we'll loosen the one in the idler gear now. And once you have them loosened, you should be able to push that side plate up and out. Now, I've left those three screws in here, but I do want to make sure that the back of this case is clean. There's a little bit of some grease on there. We'll just clean that up. But otherwise, this one on this side is fine. So is the back case. So it's interesting. There's a lot of water intrusion and the like that shows on the one side, but it's not on the other. Okay. Just cleaning that up. I'm going to oil that bearing in the back. There's a little bit of grease on there already. You can leave it be on there. And we're going to take that idler gear, inspect all the teeth, make sure they're all nice and tight, that there's no chips or cracks or wear on them, because you won't drive your level wind if that's not working properly. We can go back and put this right back on. That's why I've left those screws in there, because they're a little bit hard for me to get at. But kind of just reverse out what you just did here. I want to get those screws started just to hold that side case in play. And I don't think I'm quite on there. You need to be patient when you do these. There's no need to rush. Even if you feel the pressure of, well, the video's running, I got to do something. No, just take your time. All right, those are the two that hold the click mechanism in place. This is the one that holds the idler gear in place. While we have this open, you might want to take the opportunity to clean inside the frame. You can't do that with the spool installed. I'm going to use a rod and reel cleaner. I'm going to use Penn's Precision Rod and Reel Cleaner and just a little corner of a kitchen scrubby. And you can wipe down the inside of that with this. And since we saw a lot of dirt and debris in there, you can almost assure yourself that there's dirt and debris that can get cleaned up. All right, very good. We can take that spool now. So the spool has this braking system on it. It's an interesting little braking system. Somebody asked me, how do you do it? These don't pull out. There's actually a turn on this one here. You can see the high points and you can see valleys in the spool here. And you just turn that mechanism to align. As you can see, I just did that one and it pulled that brake out. So you just set it according to that back wheel turning, and that will set this brake for you. It's not an auto adjust brake. It doesn't have a spool thing on the outside that so many bait casters have, but it is adjustable, so you can do that. All right, there's a bearing on the spool here that I'm going to oil. Take that scrubby one more time, just after we've put that penetrating oil in there, just one more little wipe down with the cloth and the paper towel. And we can move on to the case at hand, which is this trip button that's not tripping. I'm going to start by removing the star adjuster. A good place to tell you to take pictures as you're working on these reels. The pictures, as they say, are worth 1,000 words. You do have 2 cap washers in here. That's what I was trying to tap out. At least one. I notice it's all kind of dirt in there as well. You can see that the quality of that grease on there says it's been a while since that's been changed over. We'll deal with this one as well. So you can use this video to tune up your 975 if you have one of those, or your 965 or your 955s. Internally, they're pretty much the same. The designations really refer to the width and line capacity, but internally there's a couple of different versions of them, but they're pretty much one process fits all in terms of the service area. You can see the salt is just weeping out of that open hole there. I can almost imagine what I'm going to see inside. Well, you may be wondering what I'm doing with my pieces and parts. I take my pieces and parts and put them into a parts tray. That way I don't lose them as I continue to remove them. It's real easy to have one just kind of fall on your desk, not pay attention to it. Go to grab it from your desk later and find out that somehow it got caught up in a shirt sleeve or it got knocked around by a tool and it's not where you thought it was, and then you're going to be spending time trying to find it. Well, just take the time on the front end to go do the parts organization. Know what you're going to do with the parts before you remove them, and once you remove them, follow your plan. We have an instant anti-reverse in this one and a sleeve that goes over your pinion gear. The rest of this should be able to come off now. And again, I'm noticing that there's a very heavy amount of debris on this, so it may take a moment here. There we go. I just pushed it through from this side. All right, let's remove it, see what we have. We have a mess inside. That's no surprise. I think what is a surprise, that probably is the wrong washer for that. But we can see there's two things that are stopping this, and both of those were speculated on the front end of this. The first one was dirt, the second one is wear on that trip mechanism. And we're going to take the time to replace all. We're going to remove those jack springs. And I like to try and clean the pieces and parts as I take them off. Same thing here, we're going to just flood this side with some penetrating oil to see what we can break up of that. Set that over to the side, let that do its work. Should be able to remove the main gear now. And here's part one of what was clicking. This is the ratchet side of that, and that wears with time. We're going to replace that. And then this is the second part right here. It's the arm with the stud on it, and that piece wears as well. So we're going to replace that one too. Actually, before I even get too far down to cleaning, we'll remove that. There's a screw that holds it on. And then there's a spring. And we should be able to remove the spring in addition to the arm. And this is probably one of the most salted dried reels I've seen in this series in a while. But hey, it's a saltwater reel. I know George fishes it heavy, and sometimes, well, that's what happens. All right. Just going to bring this up and out. Just wanted to remove the spring. I'm going to leave the spring on the post there. Now this is the stud that wears. You can see the wear here. It's worn down, and you can also see that it's not square. It's on an angle. And that's why that has to be replaced. There's two springs here that hold our trip mechanism on. If you have a micro pliers or the like, you can simply grab it and pull them up and out. I like to grab the center part, just compress it a little bit, and that generally will allow you to remove it. They are opposite springs, so when you go to put these back in, one will fit on the hole on the one side, and then the other one will have the turn up opposite that. We can bring that in, and now we should be able to bring this down and out. Like that. And now we have the whole body to clean. So we're going to spray that down, kind of rinse and repeat, right? Spray the trip mechanism down. And we'll go back to the ones that have been sitting a little bit. The side plate here. I'm going to use a paper towel first, see how much of that can be pulled off with a paper towel. I noticed that we had the anti-reverse come out. That's fine. Actually, it's better because I don't risk getting any of this dirt and debris into the anti-reverse clutch as we're doing this. Alright, that takes care of some of that. We'll move over to a cotton swab. And this is salty. I can feel it on my hand as I do this. And generally what you want to do if you're working on this, get a clean towel, put that on your bench so that you don't transfer this to the next project. Okay, that case is pretty clean. This is your anti-reverse clutch and sleeve. Clean the exterior to that. I'm going to remove the sleeve. I like to put the sleeve on when I put the gear side on. Clean the inner sleeve too while you're at it, and you can see all the dirt that's coming off of this. Quite a bit. Then the metal side of that, I was paying attention, the metal side of this faces outwards when you go to reinstall it in the case. For now, we just leave it. It's got a mind of its own. Do the same thing here now. We're going to do the same mop up, if you will. Clean all that old grease and dirt and the like out of there. So all of that is impacting the ability of this reel to trip. So So I think what may have happened is we've got a lot of dirt and debris on here. It started turning that one arm a little bit sideways, causing the wear, causing the trip failure. Sort of like A plus B, right? All right. That's pretty good. One more little attention to detail here. Take your time. There's no points given for speed. It's all about doing it right. We also want to make sure on this button that we remove the debris on both sides of this, because that's where some of that is getting in from. This is not a sealed reel. You can't seal one of these reels. You have the spool on the side, among other things. And, well, you just want to take your time. You want to pay attention to the details and clean up as much of it as you can. I have a flat microfile here. I'm just going to try and knock some of that green off on the back. You can also use that steel wool. Do the same here. Okay, we're in good shape with that now. And you can put a light coating of grease onto the back end of this. That's the side that's going to be sliding. Maybe on this side as well. All right, we kind of reverse ordered this to put it back together now. Wrong piece. I'm going to bring this in and up and under. Now we have those two springs. I'm going to need to take my glove off for these. I just don't have a lot of luck with these most of the time. There's a hole. I prefer to put this into the hole first. The hole in the carrier. Then grab the spring with the pliers, compress that and bring that in. When you're done seating it, it should seat like this. Let me show you the other way to do it. Either one of them works. If you're having trouble doing it that way, take the spring, put it over the post first, kind of align it, and then again, you're going to use that micro pliers to pull it now. Compress the spring by pulling it. Find a hole and place it in like that. So either way works. And then make sure that you bring that back up for the reset. We're going to go to the parts now. We got these from mysticparts.com. They're a Penn parts provider. They're authorized piece. At one point they ran the website that was pennparts.com. Alright, this is your first arm, and you can see how much more of a stud there is on this one than the other one was. And what we want to do here is we want to load up first by bringing the arm over. And I guess before we do that, we can put a little bit of grease in there. This should slide free of the grease, but it doesn't hurt. Get my screw starter. Screw. You want to line up your arm. And this, once it's tightened down, it should slide. Now we have that spring we got to put on. Let's use a pick and pull kind of a approach here. Okay, once that's set, now we get the ring, and this ring is what's going to intersect with the stud here. It has a rectangular part to it, so make sure that you seat that rectangular part on the gear shaft. Once that rectangular piece is in place, the washer goes on. And let's check the main gear out. There's a lot of salt and stuff on here. The drag washers appear to be fine. This is where I'm thinking this one belongs below, not above, because it floats above. This is a stainless gear, I believe. I'm going to just clean that out. I'm going to take a wire brush and pull down on that. All the teeth are very clean. There's no greases or oils on here at all. But it doesn't hurt to clean that up. We'll do that. I'm going to go with this first. It just makes sense with the hole here on that arbor. And these are optional for greasing. But what's not optional here is you want the 2-in-1. You want high and low on the keyed washer, and the eared washer goes in the middle. Now when we put this one on, it's not going to float inside the case. Before we put that on, we want to take the moment to do the same thing we just did with the main gear for the yoke and the pinion gear. We need to clean this yoke off. This has got the same salt and debris on it. I'm using this steel wool for that. That will slow the performance of the reel if that debris is left there, because the pinion gear will kind of hit that like a roadblock. Alright, clear on that, clear on this. A bit of grease onto the shoulders of the yoke. Grease onto the pinion gear. And as you notice, I've taken the glove off. I haven't put it back on since we were trying to set those springs. The part with the slots goes inward, like that. Then make sure you get the pinion gear seated into the hole in the side case. At this point in time, we'll do the same thing here. We're going to use Penn Precision Reel Grease for this. That's the blue grease. And as those of you that watch the channel know, I only encourage you to use fishing reel greases and oils. I don't really care which ones you use, but please use fishing reel greases and oils as you do this. Let's line that up and put the main gear back on. And now you'll see with the switch on that drag washer, this one's going to hold firm, where the one that had the wider hole to it was kind of moving in and out there. Alright, we're going to bring the last of the washers over. Then the gear sleeve. And hopefully we'll see a trip right now. Yeah, we're going to see that trip right now. It just happened. It'll happen even better when we go to reinstall everything else. Metal side, there's two sides. There's a plastic or a clear side. Metal side faces out. If you put it any other way, your reel's not going to turn forward. It's only going to turn backwards. Alright. Oops. That was an oops. I always seem to forget this. Shame on me, but there's two yoke springs that go on here. That's the value of a parts tray as well. It tells you if you're missing something. Alright, we want to bring this back in. Line up your hole with the button in the case. Make sure you're down on the piece, and then go to get those two little screws. I'm going to use the screw starter for this. And while I do that, I want to encourage you to ask questions. Maybe you're working on a reel similar to this. Maybe you're working on a reel and you're stuck and have nowhere to turn. I'll try to help you get you unstuck. And leave them in the comment section. I generally try to answer those in the morning before I enter the shop to do the videos and the servicing. Once I'm in the shop, it's kind of hard to take a break to answer questions and the like. So routine has it that the first thing in the morning is the best. And if you can bear with me on that, I would appreciate it. The tension washer goes on. Let's start the star adjuster here. But I am noticing that maybe I didn't clean this side of the case, so let's go do that right now. Bring the star adjuster down. If it's not coming down nice and easy, stop. You may be cross-threading it. Take your time to check it out to make sure you're putting it on properly. I'm going to use the handle as a wrench. And then go ahead and tighten down the rest of the star adjuster. If you had a spacer here, that's where you would put that. Another tension washer. Bring the nut on. Tighten that down. And generally speaking, if the point on your nut is pointing to that hole, you won't have any issues putting the nut cap on. And then we have one more screw here. That's to hold the nut cap in. Tighten that up and we'll give it a go after we install it on the reel. We'll see how we did. On your spool, a light coating of grease onto the shaft there. Bring the whole piece over. Insert and then hand tighten first on those 2 thumb screws. Make sure your side plate is nice and flush here. If it's got a space to it or if it feels like there's any tension in there, something may be misaligned and you're going to have to go back and recheck what that is before you go any further. All right, what have we done? We've taken the reel apart completely. We explained to you about how the ratchet and the stud here wear. You can see it's obvious based on what the new one is. The height of that has gotten knocked down. That's what's caused this to kind of knock and scrape. We also know that dirt was a contributing factor to it. It wasn't the only cause, but it was very dirty and salty inside, so we cleaned all of that. We showed you how to take the side plate off here. Make sure that your idler gear, as well as the inside of the plate, was in good condition. And now, well, it's time to give it a try. Let's start by cranking first. And one of the things I kind of forgot to do, that we'll do right now, is we're going to service that line guide pawl. Then we'll give it a test. All right. With everything else being dirty, it may be that the pawl shoulders to this one is dirty, or at least in need of a drop of oil. And yeah, the pawl shoulders are dirty here. That's right here. And that clogs the track as it tries to turn back and forth. So if you've got something that's hanging up in your reel, this could be a primary cause for that. Let's get that back to that nice silver color that was there and not that old brown dirt. I'm going to take the pawl out for a moment. Just run a little cotton swab inside the case to make sure that any debris that's in there comes out. Drop of oil into the holder. Now we can reinsert the pawl. Put a drop of oil onto the worm gear. The worm gear is clean. If it wasn't clean, what you could do is you could go ahead and spray it down with a penetrating oil, run a rag over it and turn the reel, and that rag or paper towel will pick up the issue. Right, here's, you need to just kind of work. It's a little iterative process until it seats nice without getting stuck. And then tighten it down fully. All right, so the reel is turning nice and free and easy. Let's make sure that the work we just did to release the spool, well, that works nice. You have a spool adjuster here if you want to loosen that up to let it spin more freely. And let's make sure that it pops back. Well, look at that, nice and easy. Not even a question. It'll do this all day. So that was it. So you had the broken or worn stud on that trip lever, and you had a worn or bent click ratchet itself. Between the two of those, well, it's just never going to pop back up nice and easily. Now it does. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed that. And before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, and rescue, all the folks involved in keeping us out of harm's way. And I want to thank you, the viewers, for making the channel what it is, and for contributing so much in terms of your comments, your observations, your questions, and content, because a lot of times I don't know the answers and you're the ones that eagerly provide them. So thank you to all. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.